and welcome to another episode of Trips Explained. I'm Hugo Pellegrinolo, and today I'm going to be talking about recycling clothes. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And as always, we do have English, Spanish, Portuguese, French, and Ukrainian subtitles here in the channel. Textile recycling is a process of recovering fiber, yarn, or fabric and reprocessing the material into new, useful products. Textile waste is split into pre-consumer and post-consumer waste and is sorted into 5 different categories derived from a pyramid model. Textiles can either be used or mechanically and/or chemically recycled. There has been a shift in recent years towards recycling textile because of new regulations in several countries. In response, companies are developing products from both post-consumer waste and recycled materials such as plastics. Results from academic studies demonstrate that textile reuse and recycling are more advantageous than incineration and landfilling. Over 100 billion garments are produced annually, most of which end up in incinerators or landfills. The Environmental Protection Agency reported that in 2018 alone, 17 million tons of textile municipal solid waste was generated. The fashion industry is arguably one of the second biggest polluters next to the oil industry. By textile recycling, it decreases landfill space, creates less pollution, and reduces the consumption of power and water. Most materials used in textile recycling can be split into 2 categories: pre-consumer and post-consumer waste. Pre-consumer. Pre-consumer waste involves secondary materials from textile, fiber, and cotton industry. These products are repurposed for other industries, for example, furniture, mattress, coarse yarn, home building, automotive, paper, and apparel. Post-consumer. Post-consumer waste consists of textile garments and household articles that have been discarded by their owners. These textiles articles are typically discarded because they are damaged, worn out, or outdated. 85% of post-consumer waste in the United States of America, however, is found in landfills. The remaining post-consumer waste can be directed towards second-hand retailers to be resold or passed on to warehouses dedicated to textile recycling. Textiles are sorted into categories according to the pyramid model, which organizes textiles by their quality and usability. These category placements determine which processes are used to recycle or reuse the textile. Such categories are textiles for used clothing markets, textile for conversion, whitening and polishing clothes, textiles sent to landfills and incinerators, and diamonds. Diamonds. Diamonds make up 1 to 2% of recycled textile. Despite being the smallest category, diamonds generate the largest amount of profit per item for recycling companies. Diamonds are older, trendier clothing items that are from high-end, well-known brands. Clothing and accessories that are considered diamonds include couture, Harley-Davidson, Levi's, Ralph Lauren, and luxury fibers, for example, cashmere. These second-hand clothing articles are in high demand and can be sold online in retail boutiques and/or vintage shops. Landfill and incineration. Around 7% of recycled textile products are either incinerated or placed in a landfill. Textiles that are placed in landfills have no value and are unable to be repurposed. This process is costly and is avoided when possible. Textiles can also be incinerated to produce electrical energy. This practice is more common in Europe than the United States because European boiler systems have higher capabilities than American boiler systems. Although incineration municipal solid waste is not yet feasible in the United States, over two-thirds of municipal solid waste is incinerated in countries such as Denmark, Japan, and Switzerland. The energy values of burning municipal solid waste have been compared with oil in terms of calories. However, there are obstacles to this process. These obstacles include increasing incineration efficiency and reducing harmful byproducts of incineration. Wiping and polishing clothes. Around 17% of used textiles are sorted into the wiping and polishing cloth category. These textiles are deemed unwearable and are then used to create wiping and polishing clothes. Wiping and polishing clothes can be made from a combination of oleophilic and hydrophilic fibers, which are often used in industrial applications. Textiles such as t-shirts are commonly used to create these cloths due to its naturally absorbent cotton fibers. Conversion to new products. 29% of textile waste is re-engineered into new products if deemed unsavable. Usability depends on whether or not the textiles are stained or torn beyond repair. Shoddy and mango are the two main results of the re-engineering process. Shoddy involves creating new yard products from old materials and is one of the most historical examples of textile recycling. One of the largest producers of shoddy yarn is Panitab in North India, which has over 300 mills. The majority of shoddy in Panitab is used to create knit blankets, making up over 90% of the blankets that are given to communities in disaster relief. Mango was invented after shoddy and refers to the process of using textile clippings to make wool. The wool is exported to European countries whose cooler climates and flammability regulation results in a greater need for mango. Shoddy and mango can be utilized for both high and low quality products. These re-engineered fibers have been used for cashmere sweaters and in stuffing for furniture, automobiles, and punching bags. Used clothing markets. 48% of textiles are sorted into the used clothes marketing category. Western countries export used textiles to developing countries or to disaster relief. In developing nations, used Western textiles are hardly valuable as they are often more affordable than local textiles. Used Western textiles are also sold to the lower and middle classes in more developed countries whose incomes are not large enough to purchase more expensive local textiles. Because textile exportation is a global industry, exporters must be conscious of varying trade regulations and restrictions in different countries. Reuse. Textile reuse is the preferable processing method because it extends the original product's lifetime. Reuse occurs when a textile owners rent, trade, swap, borrow, inherit products through second-hand stores, garage sales, online and flea markets, or charities. Recycling. Mechanical processing is a recycling method in which textiles fabric is broken down while the fibers are still preserved. Once shredded down, these fibers can be spun to create new fabrics. This is the most commonly used technology to recycle textiles and in a process that is particularly well developed for cotton textiles. Mechanical processing protocols can differ depending on the material, so it also requires several levels of sorting before the process begins. Textile must be separated by fabric composition and by color to avoid redying and bleaching of materials. When sorted, the textile material can be shredded, washed, and separated into smaller fibers. These individual fibers are then aligned together in a process known as cording, in preparation to spun together. Some fibers, including cotton, must be spun along with a carrier fiber to maintain higher quality. These carrier fibers are commonly cotton, organic cotton, and polyester. Once the fibers are spun into new yarn, they can be used to create new textiles. This process functions as a semi-closed loop of recycling. The number of times a material can be recycled is dependent on the quality of the fibers, which decreases with each cycle of mechanical processing. Chemical processing occurs when textile reuse is unfeasible. This process is not yet widely implemented, but there are companies that are researching and integrating chemical recycling. The major small-scale production sites are from EcoCircle, Born Again, Emvrum, and Lancel. Chemical recycling is used on synthetic fibers such as polyethylene terephthalate. These synthetic fibers can be broken down to create fibers, yarn, and textile. For PET, the starting materials are first broken down to molecular levels by using chemicals that facilitate glycolysis, methanolysis, hydrolysis, and/or ammonolysis. This act of depolymerization also removes contaminants from the starting material, such as dyes and unwanted fibers. From here, the material is polymerized and used to produce textile products. Unlike the mechanical method of recycling, chemical recycling produces high-quality fibers similar to the original fiber used. Therefore, no new fibers are needed to support the product of the chemical process. Different chemicals and processes are used for other materials such as nylon and cellulose-based fibers, but the overall structure of the process is the same. A shift toward recycled textiles. New regulations for the textile industry have been introduced in several countries that favor the use of recyclable materials. On March 30, 2022, the European Commission published the European Union Strategy for Sustainable and Circular Textiles, which outlines the European Union's action plan to achieve better sustainability and regulation within the textile industry. The European Commission's goal for 2030 is to encourage consumers to invest in high-quality products rather than fast fashion and to ensure All textile products are durable, whether they are recycled materials or not. The European Union's strategy includes regulating overproduction, reducing the release of microplastics during production, and utilizing European Union's extended producers' responsibility to ensure producers are acting sustainably. In response to shifting consumers' expectations, investments in textile recycling companies have increased to achieve better sustainability in the textile industry. Inditex and Bill Gates' Breakthrough Energy Ventures invested in the startup recycling company Circ in July 2022, which has potent new technologies to re-engineer used fibers. In July 2021, H&M and Adidas invested in the chemical recycling company Infinite Fiber Company (IFC), which produces a re-engineered fiber that is similar to cotton and is biodegradable. Goldman Sachs led an investment in mechanical recycled cotton company Recovered Textile Systems in June 2022. Many luxury fashion brands are publicly displaying their investments in sustainability approaches with a common goal to shift towards circular systems and utilizing re-engineered and/or biodegradable materials in their collections. Environmental impact. Textile reuse and textile recycling process are the most environmentally friendly methods of processing textiles, while incineration and landfill are considered to be the least environmentally friendly. When comparing textile reuse to textile recycling, textile reuse is more advantageous. A Swedish study found that for each ton of textile waste, textile reuse can save 8 tons of CO2 in terms of global warming potential, and 164 gigajoules of energy use. In comparison, textile recycling saves 5.6 tons of CO2 in terms of global warming potential and 116 gigajoules of energy usage. There are a few circumstances under which recycling reuse might be less effective. For instance, regarding recycling, the benefits might be offset if the replacement rates are relatively low. If recycling is energized by fossil fuel, or if the voided manufacture procedures are clean. Also, with respect to reuse, the environmental impact of transport may surpass the upsides of the voided manufacturing, unless the use life of the reused item is considerably prolonged. These circumstances should be taken into account when advocating, designing, and implementing new textiles, recycling, and reuse procedures. Thank you very much for watching today's video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe the channel. And if you have any doubts at all, you can always send me an email to hugo.loh@gmail.com. Thank you very much for watching today's video.